we all have gathered here, the second edition of the Global Sustainable Development Summit 2022 has the honor to start with our first speaker, Mr. Sanjay Sethi, Executive Director at the Plant-Based Food Industry Association. Mr. Sethi is a graduate of Haryana Agriculture University, Hisar, and is the Executive Director at PBFIA. He completed his master's from IRMA and later did a course on sustainability at the Yale Business, a graduate from the Haryana Agriculture University. And he later on, Sanjay Sethi also brings 3 decades of experience in agriculture and sustainability fields to the table of plant-based foods. Previously, he was the board of Sustainable Rice Platform, an initiative of the UN Environment and International Rice Research Institute. He's also at the steering committee of the Global Agribusiness Alliance of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, Geneva. Bringing to light the dawn of a plant-based age, India to lead the way to the world food security and nutrition. Please welcome Mr. Sanjay Sethi.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sanjay Sethi, and it's such a great pleasure to be part of this global network on Global Sustainable Development Summit. We believe that sustainability is a word which has been used quite often, and many people understand it very well. But many people also think that they understand, but they don't. One of the reasons for that is that the sustainability is so vast, such a vast subject. It's really very difficult to understand that how 17 SDGs, how they work with each other, and how we are able to measure the sustainable progress. These are huge subjects, and it's difficult to understand. But the thumb rule is that if we are doing good on one hand, we may not be doing so good on the other hand. Just to give you an example, plant-based foods industry, although we are working on replacing animal foods with more sustainable plant foods. But at the same time, while we are doing such a great sustainable progress, we have to also understand that are we not causing any packaging waste? Are we not causing any more additional use of water? So that it should not happen that the sustainable progress which has been done at one end is nullified by bad sustainability on another end. So to give you an example, that at Sustainable Foods, I used to be part of Sustainable Rice Platform. There used to be a lot of parameters by which you could get the kind of the stamp, the label that yes, you are SRP. You are SRP verified. And those marks you used to get on the basis of food waste, on the basis of the involvement of gender, on the basis of lack of chemicals in food production, or various other SDGs which get impacted, which includes water, it includes so many other things, including life on land, including whether you are taking care of the soil biodiversity or not. So those were the ways that we were getting sustainable score. Now at plant-based foods, what we are focusing on, we are merely focusing on taste. That if we are able to provide a tasty vegetarian or vegan food, plant-based food, which is as good as meat or dairy products or ice cream or milk, but it is not come from the animal sources, it has come from the plant-based sources. So that means we can call our product as plant-based, not only plant only, just plant-based. That means it replaces the animal sources of food. So if our product has become plant-based, that means it has become now a sustainable way of feeding humans. Instead of first feeding 9 calories to the animals and then from there getting 1 calorie as food for human, either in the form of meat or dairy, we are straight away feeding directly to humans that 1 calorie. So we save 8 calories in the form of inefficient route of animal sources of foods. So those plant-based are growing at a fast pace, merely focusing only on taste. We are ensuring that we mimic the taste of the animal sources of foods. So this kind of a product is way above or different or farther than the vegan products which we used to have, which was something like dal. Dal is or legume or the normal pasta. So all those foods were basically vegetarian, vegan foods, which did not have any animal sources of foods, whether it was cheese or it was meat. Now we are saying we will produce foods which will replace the animal sources of foods. That's why we are calling it as a new name given to it called plant-based foods. So plant-based foods has become such a big rage that now organizations are changing ingredients and they're thinking, okay, instead of having fish meal, can I have a fish meal kind of a product which can be from plant sources? So that means they are coming out with those products which are plant-based, not necessarily replacing the entire value chain. So, but it's a good one step forward. So this one step forward means that now slowly, we will be able to reduce the meat consumption. We will be able to reduce the dairy consumption. We will be able to reduce our dependence on animal sources. That means replacing the animals out of the food value chain. So the impact will not be only on the sustainability, impact will also be on the food security, because you will be able to feed more people. They say that we have enough resources available to produce food for 10 billion people, provided everybody becomes plant-based and vegan. But today, we barely feed 8 billion people, and then also some of them, they go hungry. So, sustainability and food security is the one aspect of plant-based foods. The other aspect is health. There are many people who are lactose intolerant, who feel that if they will consume red meat, they will get heart disease or other hypertension or other diseases which are very dangerous, because they are linked with the saturated fats coming from animal sources. Some people say that consuming animal sources of foods is basically poison. Why they say it? Because it leads to cancer. Or there is a recent phenomenon that in Pakistan, there's a very significant drop in the chicken consumption, because they feel that there are additional growth factors which are there inside the plant-based, inside the animal sources of foods, which are not required by the body. In milk, people think that this is for the calf, not for the grown-up human beings. So as a result, we don't have to consume that milk. So because of these various reasons, there is a scare. And then there are diseases like mad cow disease or bird flu, or there are so many diseases which come in animals. Corona was one of those, which we fear that they will jump onto human being. So they want to keep away from the animal sources of foods. That is why during Corona times, the chicken product consumption and the meat consumption dropped significantly, because there was a scare. So because of the health perception and sustainability and food security, the consumption of plant-based foods is going up. The third reason for which the plant-based foods consumption is going up is because of the ethical concerns. They say that SDG 15, which is life on land, it does not mean that first you take care of chicken and then you slaughter those chicken and eat them. Then it's not following the SDG 15, that is life on land. Taking care of SDG 15 means taking care of animals, that it is somehow morally not right that we slaughter another animal to fill our stomach, especially so that there is a food, but you want to taste that. So will you ever eat, a dog meat? No. So why? Because we love dogs. So when we love dogs, how is that we don't love chicken or the large animals or goat? So this is how there is a rising perception that even if it is dairy, what will happen to the male calf? It will go for the slaughterhouse. So we should not consume the animal sources of foods. So because of ethical concerns, because of health, and because of sustainability and food security, plant-based movement is here to stay. It's growing at a very fast pace. Number of vegans have gone up by 0.5% to 3%. Investment is rising in this field. Young boys and girls, they are investing into it. By some surveys, it has been shown that youngsters, they care for all this. They care for sustainability, and they're willing to pay a premium for such products. So because of these new changes which are coming in, it looks like that animal sources of foods will actually become stranded assets. And we will not be able to sustain such kind of an agriculture for a long time. We have been so far calling it poultry farming, whereas it's not poultry farming, it's actually poultry genocide. So I think you would see that the governments after governments, they would start to remove the support which is available for the animal sources of foods, and they will begin to become more and more expensive. And plant-based sources of foods would be more and more incentivized. Perhaps that is why you would see that there is huge trend in people proudly saying that now we want to consume plant-based foods. And as a result, the commitments which the governments have given, for example, I am in India, Indian government has said by 2070, we would be net zero of any emissions. How would we do that if we don't focus on 20% of the greenhouse gas emissions which are coming through agriculture, and significant part of that comes from animal sources of foods. So let us say 15% or 14% comes because of the animal sources of foods, and so much of greenhouse gas emissions are caused by that. So then you have to focus on that, because by focusing on the big ticket items, only we will be able to make some significant impact on the overall emissions, so that our commitment to net zero is totally justified and proven. So that is why we feel that animal sources of foods will be discouraged, and governments will also provide support, and slowly, people will forget that there used to be a time that there was animal sources of foods. Even if it would remain a rich man's food. That means the tables will turn completely. Today, plant-based foods is more expensive, but the level playing field is being found. At Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, we work with the government precisely for this. We work on the supply chain precisely for this. We work with the investors so that they can invest more. We work with the various scientists and innovation so that we come out with more and more tasty food which are absolutely like plant-based, like animal sources of food, so that as an overall impact is even more amazing, and this transition is faster. So today I request all of you, those who are listening, please turn plant-based, do not consume animal sources of foods, and encourage others, and encourage Plant-Based Foods Industry Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sethi. Those were really great insights.